Welcome back to Week 9 of the NA LCS Spring Split. I want to welcome man that needs no introduction.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Let's check the conversation going on over at Twitter. Earlier we asked you, which team do you think will benefit most from the week off and why? Here's what you wrote in with. At Adders on the Dawn, I think TSM are the obvious pick as Burger King is back and ready to go.
Oh yeah, he's definitely ready to go. We saw them come out big in the first game.
And the real TZT says, the next one up, I think Cloud9 has benefited the most from the week off. Going up against the top teams in the world is good preparation.
Yeah, so they didn't really have a week off. They got an extra week of work in.
It's true, a little bit of jet lag, but we'll see if it stops them here today. At Motiviertes, Chaos says, Curse. They just got a new great support in Bunny Fufu. I'm excited to see the team after they've had more time to practice.
Yeah, he's definitely showing up, at least on Thresh so far.
All right, everyone, as always, thank you for all the responses, and be sure to keep them coming in. Hashtag LCS. Make sure you use it. But now let's jump into our next game, Team Coast versus Cloud9. And Kobe, these are two teams that had opposite Super Weeks. Coast ended without a win, while Cloud9 had a perfect 4-0 sweep.
Yeah, not only did Cloud9 have that 4-0 Super Week, but they also had a pretty good showing at IEM last weekend. And Hai in particular was making some very exciting plays. It was also very interesting to see Meteos prioritizing the new Kazakhs as well as, I think a lot of teams are going to be doing that right now, but also Lemonation was pulling out the old Zyra. That was a staple for Cloud9, something they really popularized, but he hasn't, Zyra hasn't made an appearance in the North American LCS all year long.
Maybe they'll save some tricks for us today. Opportunities like IEM can be invaluable to try new strategies and play new opponents, as we were saying. A team like Cloud9 can get confidence from their wins and experience from their defeats. Meanwhile, Coast has had a week off to learn from their 4 losses and prepare their tough schedule for this week.
Yeah, now Team Coast were looking like a team on the rise going into Super Week, maybe even challenging Dignitas for 4th place, but now they've slid back down to 6th place, and they're once again in the relegation zone. And like you said, they're facing the number 2 and number 3 teams this week, so they definitely have their work cut out for them.
And while Coast is looking to get their groove back, they know that Cloud9 is a team that comes into every match prepared for victory.
So Coast is sticking to what they were doing last split, where they have interesting champion picks, but where they play to their strength, and it works out for them sometimes, other times it doesn't.
I think something about Cloud9 is they just always know what it takes to win like every single game. They know what it's going to take, what exactly they have to do if they're going to get the W in this game.
Well, for Coast, they've typically been carried by Zion top and Shifter mid, so as long as one of them doesn't take off, I think we'll be okay.
Lately, we've just been giving up every objective and we haven't been doing anything, so I just kind of want to make it my goal to kind of step up and make some more calls and get the team rolling. We can definitely beat C9.
I think we just need to find our groove again and we'll be okay.
Got to find the groove.
Giving up every objective and doing nothing is definitely not a good strat, so I
Hopefully
hope they've come up with something else.
Yeah, we'll see. Right now, we're going to check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it is Coast. Zion Spartan in the top lane, Nintendude X in the jungle, Shifter in mid, Wiz Fusion at 80 carry, and Daydreamin' on support.
And on the red side, it's Cloud9. Up top is Balls, and the jungle is Meteos, and the mid is Hai, and Sneaky and Lemonation there. Little gangster mode. They decided hoods up for this round.
No gang signs, gentlemen. That takes us to our featured matchup in the top lane. It is Zion Spartan versus Balls.
Now, this is also going to be interesting to see how this showdown does get started. Right in Champion Select, both of these players are known for a certain play style here. Balls, you know, he's been playing a lot of these standard tanky champions, and he's had a lot of success in them, where, you know, Zion has not had that success. Even though the team has been trying to sort of coach him in that direction, and they wanted to get more teamfight oriented and more tanky top, they've had success when he plays these carries like Jax, and they've actually won the games on those carries.
Him and Quaz are kind of like the same, but not. It's Quaz wanting to kind of play the meta stuff, but then he doesn't, and then it's Zion's team wanting to play the meta stuff, and then he doesn't. So it's kind of like the top laners always want to switch back to meta, and then it just works out that they don't. We'll see if it happens again this game. His Jax has been banned quite a bit, probably not going to get that again, and his Shyvana is becoming quite big in the past few weeks.
If they only think of those two, though, then the Lee Sin, I'd like to see a resurgence there, because he has also used Lee Sin top,
his Lee.
And it's very exciting to see full damage Lee Sin top. He's definitely capable of pulling that one out.
And the way he leveled it, too, maxing out different things because of what his opponent was trying to mitigate. maxing out. I believe it's E the last time he played it.
Yeah,
work out that
very,
damage.
very popular for most top lane leagues
Yep.
to max that E.
22.9% ban rate on Lulu. Didn't get it last game for Voidboy, but he will. I will not be seeing that this matchup. He's only played it once, but they still know the power that is held in Lulu. LeBlanc gets, I believe, her 12th ban now. 11th ban, sorry, going against Cloud9.
All right, so the bans from Cloud9 are all not just focused on top lane there.
Yeah.
They've actually split them. The two most popular champions for Coast in recent success have been not only the Jax, but also Shifter on Nidalee has been huge. He's been instrumental in their wins. So they're spreading the love around in the ban phase here.
I'm excited to see what the mid laners do pick. Both Shifter and High have, High has 10 unique champions and Shifter has 8. Some of the higher numbers in what the pools have been for other mid laners in the NA LCS. Right now, Lemonation scratching the beard, trying to figure out what to pick.
Consulting the notebook here.
For the last ban as well, looking what Coast probably has played in the past, what they really revert to, what their wins came on, if they can shut something down, and what their wins came from. And that was one of them, that Lee Sin on Zion. Is
Every time I say I want to see a single champion,
they take it away from you.
it took him a while too. He had to go through the notes back to find that page.
What can create the most chaos? And that would be a Lee Sin jumping around. But they do get Wiz Fusion Sivir. Lo and behold, that is the first time that Wiz is going to be playing that. It's been played 4 times, however, by Sneaky, though, and it has 4 wins, so they're cutting that right out.
And we talked about, Team Coast trying to coach their way back into team fights and back into more team-oriented builds here. They're going with the AD carry, who brings a lot of support and a lot of speed for those mid-game map movements, as well as chase potential. If they can catch somebody from Cloud9 out of position, then maybe they can actually be the ones to turn the table.
Balls feels good about the pick, and I just saw Lemonation kind of like lit up during that. Seeing that Sivir kind of, like you said, gives you that idea that it's going to be that rush at you composition. They pick 2 that can either go in or out, and 2 very safe picks from what Cloud9 has been bringing to the table in Renekton and Kha'Zix.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Kha'Zix, I did not think this one was going to get through to Meteos.
Yeah.
They've already shown at IEM that they were going to prioritize that champion, first picking it a lot. But they also combo it with Balls, one of his favorite champions up the top lane right now. He's so aggressive with that Renekton. If you can get kills up top there with that Kha'Zix Renekton combo, then they can easily take over a game just by themselves.
We always see Balls going for a lane bully. He'll get that out of Renekton. We see Pantheon coming into the jungle here first time this week in Week 9. He's been off to the wayside a little bit. Nintendo's been shying more towards Vi, but he does get the Pantheon with Annie here.
Well,
very fast picks there.
Wow. Oh yeah, from both teams.
Wow.
Cloud9, High has been outspoken. Okay, he's okay with the nerfs on Kassadin, and he'll go back to that champion, even though some people, even on his own team, not sure about it. It's a very risky champion now with the nerfs, but he's very confident on it, and he does take teleport more often than not, trying to get those early kills to get that snowball rolling earlier. So it's very interesting to see how that's going to play out versus this Team Coast, who locked in the Pantheon plus Annie. That means bottom lane is a very, very dangerous lane, because Pantheon, as soon as he hits level 6, jump right down there, and Annie can keep you under the Grand Skyfall for the full duration till he hits the floor. And it's very hard to do anything about that once it does come out. So it's a very potent level 6 combo.
Yeah. Why not throw yourself at more bodies if you're going to? That's the bot lane. I like this composition as well versus the Kassadin coming in. It's going to be hard for him to dive in going in towards a stun as well as a rune prison, if that's going to be Zion Spartan there at the time. We'll see if Zion, though, uses this to split push in the game as Morgana finally makes her way back onto the Rift. Jat was just mentioning last game. We hadn't seen her today.
So the Morgana could provide a little bit more safety for the bottom lane, but it's still going to be very dangerous for them. And on the flip side, Pantheon for Nintendo, it's a very all-in jungler.
Yeah.
I expect more deaths from him, but he'll be creating plays when he goes in for those deaths. Pantheon's, he doesn't really have any escapes, but he does create a lot of chaos when he goes in.
It's been quite a while since Nintendo played that Pantheon, since Week 4. We'll see how he does against the Week 7 and Week 8 Kha'Zix for Meteos, who's been more recent. Before we get into the game, let's see who you voted on to win. According to LOLesports.com, 86% of you are giving this one to Cloud9.
Man, so many champions that can jump around in this game, too. Cloud9, extremely mobile. So much damage with the Kha'Zix and the Kassadin being able to hop around. The team fights
Everybody
should
but Morg can
probably
dash
be
a wall.
spread out. Yeah.
poor Lemon Nation is going to have to flash into every engage when everybody leaves him behind or tries to get into the fight. We see Zion Spartan and the team ready. A little bit of chatter from Wiz Fusion on the end as Lemon Nation's taking up that part for himself, saying we're just going to do some simple things. It's not usually one of the teams to go hard at the level 1 Cloud9.
I'm excited, though, because this is a new face for Coast. Zion on the rise.
That's true.
You know, not something he has used, but it's a similar style. He has played Nasus split push before.
He's 1-on-1 on that, yeah.
He scales up very similarly, being very strong in the late game, so he will be able to carry late. We'll have to see if the jungle pressure
right
up
his
there
alley.
is focused in top lane to try and cut down on the star player.
Well, we are about to get on to the Rift. We're in match 3 of the day. It's week 9 here. We are far into this. Only a few more weeks left in the LCS, 3 more to be exact, and these teams are trying to make an impact on the standings. It's going to get harder and harder to do that as teams are not going to want to give up their spots. The Mana Crystal on Rise this time to start. We saw that last game starting with the Ruby Crystal from Benny.
Yeah, and Shifter with the Ziggs mid, you know, pretty happy with that pick. He can lend extra damage to either lane fairly early on without having to roam that far. And Coast, they have a pretty good stall team too. For defensive wave clear, Sivir and Ziggs is pretty much the best in the business with those two. So if they do get stuck trying to defend turrets here, even though they don't have that global teleport working for them, they've got great wave clear.
Look like anybody wants to get in too dangerous of a position just yet. That spell thief's gone to Lemon Nation, as the Morgana's going to be picking up those auto attacks, trying to get some more gold in for himself in the bottom lane. Ruby Crystal start for Daydreamin' as he actually charged up that stun on the fountain. Quickly dodges out a Dark Binding from some Lemon Nation just to check the brush.
Yeah, looks like Zion on that rise, going 21 utility, probably 921 there. And that 5% cooldown reduction to start it out. And going Mana Crystal, aggressive start. He has the potential to bully early because of the increased range on his Q and the power he will get from that Mana Crystal. But he will also need jungle support.
Whoa,
oh my goodness,
Lemon Nation! A suicide mission indeed.
Weird. So they put their ward in and saw one member. Very, very dangerous face check right there from Lemon, and he definitely bites the bullet. It's going to cost Meteos' red buff as well.
That looked like it was a bit of homework that Lemon Nation would constantly place that ward, feeling like he could walk out. But a primed stun from Daydreamin' says no way.
Yeah, that was definitely a misstep here from Cloud9. Already starting out on a sour note.
We'll have to see. That kill, it does go over to Annie. We got an assist onto Wiz Fusion and Nintendo. So not huge. We'll see if they continue to pressure it and who gets the lane first. Looks like we are going to get a lane swap actually coming in as well.
I always like lane swaps against Renekton, who starts with the Doran's Blade, because starting Doran's Blade is so difficult to deal with any sort of 2v1 action. And the lane swap up there might have been due to also just everyone being up at the top after that first kill and then red steal, but it looks like they have not decided to send Zion down yet. Just trying to get that jungle experience first.
Very interesting in the top lane. They're just roaming this around right now, just completely buddy system.
Yeah, look at this, though. He's not even going to go bottom ever.
No.
He's going to come up top and get some even more experience up here. So they're definitely giving up that bottom turret. And they won't find a kill in return, but it looks like Balls is actually jungling.
He knows.
So a little bit extra experience here for Cloud9, whereas Zion's just waiting in bushes.
That's exactly what Balls had to do. If he didn't leave that lane, he would start to fall very behind. I don't know how far behind, because we really haven't seen what Zion Spartan's going to get out of this roaming around. Now back to something we have seen, everybody on the turrets very early. We'll see if it goes to the second tier, but already a very interesting game for Coast and Cloud9.
Yeah, Meteos having traded back and got the other red buff, rotates down. He waited a little bit to see if Zion would come to lane, but as he shows up top, knows it won't happen.
Whoa,
Balls
the barrier goes down. They're going hard for Shifter, and they take him out. Balls goes down as well in the 1-for-1 there. Turrets falling on each side of the map to do.
All right, so Zion helps out with tower push, and Balls goes for a gank. He's a jungler. He kills a couple camps and then goes and ganks mid for High. That's great start there for High. Getting the Kassadin going early is nice, but they leave off the second turret in favor of the very early dragon. I like this for Coast if they're able to finish off the secondary turret here.
Oh, the minion wave is quite close. They're only against the level 2, but they're not going to have enough minions to get that down. Meteos very, very low. He is going to sustain that burn, and they're going to be able to go back on this one. A 4.5-minute dragon coming in. Very big from Cloud9. They did lose that first blood, but they sure made up for that gold. Now 400 ahead.
Yeah, so Cloud9, they did stop their push down bottom, but they didn't leave a giant minion wave there. So Rise will not be able to freeze that minion wave deep in coast territory. They had a cannon minion pushing for coast, so they knew that this wave was going to push back in their favor, and it would actually make it a very dangerous situation for Rise to go to, since he has no dashes and he has no wards this early in the game. Vision comparably just costs so much of your current gold that they haven't been able to get too much of it, and nobody's been able to put any deep ones down yet.
Well, with knowing the wards went down on that first minute, they were running all over the place. See if they do it again. I don't know if things are slowing down just yet. No way to really tell between these two teams here in our third game of the day. The 500 gold lead seems to have slowed Coast down, and Cloud9 is happy with holding that after Dragon. They don't want to go any further than this just yet.
Yeah, that was just, I have to say, great control of the minion waves by Cloud9. Stopping their push short bottom.
Yep.
Thought that they were just leaving out some extra gold that they could get with the turret, but they really played that well, and Zion has been the one to pay for it. Like as we said, he doesn't have deep vision. He's got that one ward by his little bush in the river, and Meteos is going to walk right over to it.
Boom. There you go.
Is that the light bulb above Zion's head?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Alerted. Here we go. 8.8 to 7.9. They are really stretching that lead fast. There's a spear to the face. Meteos goes back, says, I have claws, you have spears. We'll trade back and forth and then walk away.
Yeah, so Kazakhs can actually kill Pantheon in the 1v1 if they're isolated like that. The only reason Nintendo's going for that is because he had backup. But Meteos backs off, so nobody going to be the worst for that one. Pretty even trade.
How are these guys doing in the mid lane?
Well, Meteos
looking
towards
damage.
Shifter. And Shifter had burned both summoner spells in the balls gank, so you know, could be a problem for him as high as level 6, and he could jump for the flash.
Meteos just on the outside, those minions. So caster minions giving him the vision he needs to stay safe. He might have actually gone down in that trade, but Shifter probably would have died as well.
All right, so just one turret down for each team. They stopped
level 5 to 3.
The shoves
Ouch.
here. Balls, yeah. Ooh. Dangerous, though. Nintendo's waiting there. He just wants him to go for the dive. They could easily lock balls up under that
Whoa! Elimination, thinking he's Goliath in that fight, and he was not in the 2v1. He takes a good bit of damage. Looks like he gets the ward he wants, though. So far, 2 wards have put him in pretty scary spots.
And the duo lane for Coast, too worried. Even though they have double pink wards guarding them, they return to the double golems to try and safely farm a little bit of gold, not get too extended. They haven't seen Kazakhs in a while.
See how Shifter plays this. He actually has stayed in lane, not too much roaming. More than often when we're watching Link, we'll see him roam at level 5 to help his teams get a kill. But it's been just trying to keep high from getting his roam on.
Yeah, now that we talk about roaming here, it's even more dangerous since the early turrets went down. Kassadin can teleport very deep, and he can chase you forever because he's got that Rift Walk. As long as he's got enough mana, teleporting in Kassadin would be very dangerous for bottom lane because they have no outer turret to retreat to.
Interesting as well that we haven't seen Nintendo, well, I guess not. He's level 5, not level 6 yet. So we haven't seen him gank bottom for that reason. So we'll see in the next few minutes here. He should be able to hit that. We are only 8.5 minutes into this one. There's the teleport going into the top lane. It's only onto a ward, so it's just going to be a slow one here. They're going to take pictures with Zion. Say cheese, buddy. It's going to be painful.
And Ball's probably going to go down in answer, so it's not too bad for Coast. They actually had got the teleport out of Cloud9, and they'll get the assisted kill in return. Both kills are assisted. Similar gold values there. Balls was actually higher level, so they get even more experience out of it.
I got to give credit to the other lanes as well. Both lanes for getting the kill on both sides of the team, but Shifter, Wiz Fusion, and Daydreamer, they've all had to play quite safe. Nintendo has hovered that top lane for quite some time just to get that kill.
Yeah, he's been waiting a long time for that dive. They saw that one coming, and props to Nintendo positioning himself well. As he said, though, level 6 available now for Pantheon. the first Grand Skyfall is often one of the most effective. So we have to see if he can catch this bottom lane off guard here, because Daydreamin's coming up on level 6 himself, and he's got his flash ready. He wants to get that combo with the Annie and Pantheon.
Lemon Nation and Sneaky spent quite some time in the bottom lane. It's only been a level up to Lemon Nation's Spell Thief. Yeah, it looks like they will kind of control this. They're controlling their behavior very well, especially with Meteos coming in lane.
Yeah, Meteos can sense this counter gank right here, because he knows I hit level 6. Pantheon must be level 6 now.
Somewhere bottom
He's
jungle.
probably going to target my bottom lane. Remember, magic damage will break the black shield, so Lemonation can't just throw his black shield on Sneaky as the Grand Skyfall comes in. He has to be very, very quick about it and do it right after the Grand Skyfall, or that will just explode the shield right there, and he won't be able to block the stun.
You see Daydreamin trying to take control of that brush now in the bottom lane, so they stay safe, at least from a quick engagement. They'll be able to get out safely. 10 minutes in, a little bit of a roam here from High, so he gets vision on when Coast is going to be going for their blue buff. Looks like they'll try to engage on more than just the lanes now. They're going to start a bit of that objective work.
And now that Meteos got a little impatient down bottom. Oh, there it is. They got it anyway.
There's the shield, but it was Daydreamin to come in to actually pop that. A good flash out from Sneaky. The barrier's been used. Cloud9's going to be able to slowly walk this one out as Nintendo starts eating the full end of a culling. He gets hit up by the isolated Qs. Meteos gets in there, and it looks like Daydreamin could be going down as well. He gets the Rune Prison. There's actually Dark Binding as well. So many things that could be locking you up in this game. The Rune Prison could be coming from Zion Spartan, but it's not going to 8-6 in that top lane with a huge fight just happening bottom.
Yeah, you could tell everybody knew exactly what was going to happen. Yes, the bottom lane's going to be the target. Black Shield does come on, but it gets blown up pretty quickly. Then both the ultimates, actually. Circle's missing here, and once Meteos comes in, he decides to go straight for that squishy Pantheon. Intended, as I said, in for some more deaths with Pantheon because it's an all-in champion. You go for those ganks, you're not going to come out. And he does pay for that one because they weren't able to execute their target. For that to really work, they have to land everything. All summoners being up for Sneaky was just too much for them. They couldn't get through barrier and flash and dash.
Yep, coming up big there. Zion Spartan, level 9 and a level 8 versus a level 6. That is not going to work out. Zion has had a tough time in the top lane. But we saw this is how it started for Nien last time as well. Minus a few of the deaths, but he was the highest farm late game. We'll see if Zion can put himself in that position as Coast regaining their jungle a little bit now.
People always talk about how in games versus Kassadin, if you make one mistake, oh no, he's going to snowball out of control.
Right.
Those are the types of mistakes that they're talking about. You get a little too close. Got to be wary of that Rift Walk, and Cloud9 do not hesitate to jump on Zion as soon as he gets back to lane.
It looks like Balls and Meteos now turned into the Bash Brothers. We see them clearing out some wards as they lay down a pink, but Balls is now going to leave the top lane. It's all up to High now to pretty much get the split push on. He can take out Rise if he wanted to. Zion Spartan versus that level 9 Kassadin would not be a fair fight. 5,000 gold just about in the lead. 2-1 in turrets, and Meteos looks to make something happen mid.
Pretty sure that banana bush ward saw him sneak in. So he does pass by. And as usual, he has evolved the ult first. Now that's a change actually for Meteos. He was evolving the jump first, the wings, but after seeing the display from the Koreans, has changed his ways.
Cloud9 coming into this matchup, we saw in the pre-video in their interviews, they said that shutting down the solo lanes of Zion Spartan and Shifter would be the key to victory here. So far, they've done a great job of that in the top lane.
Yeah, I have to say, going way back to the beginning, the tower pushes, the 4 versus 1 up top, and then the 3 versus 1 down bottom for Cloud9. Cloud9 leaving, oh my goodness.
Oopsies.
Kazakhs can make good use of that anyways. If this was solo queue, Meteos would have taken that, no questions asked anyway.
AFK, man. 5-3 here. We'll see. Shouldn't affect High too much in the mid lane. He's just going to go ahead and farm, not try anything too crazy.
Yeah, if he wants a blue buff, he's going to have to take it off Shifter now. So Shifter actually got a target on his head.
They may actually try to get it. I would not put it past them. Meteos would be in the right position for it, along with Lemon Nation coming up to hover there. But Nintendo X always on the side with that quasi-global ultimate ready to drop in.
Yeah, and they should be looking at the same lane again. Even though there's no flash for Annie, she has the ability to keep people in line. Oh no! It's Cloud9 making the first move. High teleports bottom. Oh, what another counter gank.
Wait, Coast is choosing the other side. They do counter it very hard. They get into the brush to try and deny all vision, but that is big damage coming from High. He riffs on along with the kills from Sneaky. The Inferno Bomb comes down and takes down High, and Meteos is there to help clean it up with the Sneakster. They come out in a 3-2.
All right, everybody targeting the bottom lane. As we said earlier, when the turret's down like this, it's very dangerous because High can teleport in very far behind you in that long lane. But Nintendo was looking for the same thing at the same time. As we said, the repeat Pantheon anti-gank here. Lemon starts it off. You know, he bites the dust, but everybody's going to go down here. Shifter, you can see him roaming down from mid lane there. And he does get a good ulti off to capitalize and make High pay for that with his life as well. But since Meteos comes in, they actually get control of the bottom lane, and that gives them control of red buff. So he steals that away as payment for the bottom lane action.
Very good thinking there to put the black shield onto Balls, keeping him safe. Looks like High and Shifter both get a little bit of their roam on as well. And then Tendude, we kind of see the synergy with Ziggs and Pantheon there. You can see the man drop coming in, and Ziggs doesn't have to leave. He can just offer up that big Inferno Bomb as well from long distance. Worked out for him there. They're creeping up on kills, but they need to creep back up on that gold. 1:30 for Dragon, and they're 5,000 gold down right now.
Yeah. I like how they've paired this sort of weak lane pick with Kassadin with a very strong Renekton lane pick as well for Cloud9. Zion, though, trying to freeze at this point is dangerous because Cloud9 have so much control of the jungle. They can come and assassinate him if he tries to stay down there by himself.
And it's hard. You can't really pay a Rise that's level 8 with 81 CS respect when you're going into that lane. You can see High just rifting at him, not worried about anything that even comes up behind Zion. But Zion could definitely get to a point still where he becomes dangerous. However, it's going to take quite long, and Cloud9 is pretty much putting a stranglehold on that chance.
And nobody on Coast is a tank. Like, nobody's going to be building defensive stats for a while here. So it's very, very easy for Kassadin and Kha'Zix right now. This is pretty much their dream situation. A whole bunch of squishy champions on the enemy team.
Just looked at him wrong. Made him flash away.
Expecting that Rift Walk coming in. I didn't want to take any extra turret shots while he was waiting for the cooldown of Rift Walk. That's why he didn't just blindly chase right there. Waiting for that cooldown to come back up. And he gets the summoner out of Zion. So, yeah, so I talked about there's not really any tanks on Coast. Technically, Rise will be a tank later, but that's very late in the game. Early in the game, he builds all these mana items and these scaling items. He's extremely squishy, extremely easy to take advantage of. And Cloud9 have really put on a clinic here. They've shown exactly how to take advantage of his weak early game.
Yeah. And already Cloud9 mitigating what they need to in the area of magic resistance. The Hex Drinker's built up. It looks like one of those switches into the Maulmouth Mortius already. 2 of those coming out today. We haven't even really seen him in the LCS. And the Hex Drinker, as I said, onto Meteos. So that Mega Inferno Bomb won't be really executing anybody.
Hex Drinker is extremely popular against double APs. That item right there is one of the best magic resistance items for attack damage champions. It's already cost efficient without even taking into account the shield, by the way, just the stats on the item. So it's really good early buy. Upgrading it to Maw, very unpopular.
Right.
I was okay with it with quastering it on Aatrox because Aatrox always sits pretty low on life, or around 50%. Renekton, not so much. But Balls is trying to stack a ridiculous amount of magic resist in this game. Ninja Tabi going to be enough for him, reducing the damage from Wiz Fusion's auto attacks.
Got about 10 minutes now on Zion Spartan's Rod of Aegis to get charged up. He's just got that belt as the tier has been going along as well. He's 435 out of 750 on that. So pretty far off, but not too far. Could be worse. That'll be big damage for him as he keeps getting that mana bar up. That machine gun rise is really what they need.
So by comparison, High's Rod of Ages is more than halfway done already.
Wow.
So he got this one 5 minutes, 6 minutes actually, before Zion built his. And Kassadin reaching that point before Rise is going to be really painful for Coast. I mean, Cloud9 are pretty much crushing this game right now.
They're not afraid to make initiations either. They're already, or I should say still, in the jungle of Coast. Every time that High has had teleport up, he has not been afraid to use it. Right now, he's going to be the one dictating power in the mid lane as the entire team of Coast is trying to react to just around the blue buff because they want the engage. That was very big. The Mega Inferno Bomb not really hitting as they would have expected, though, and they start to get pummeled in this fight as Cloud9 turns around and starts to give them back their own medicine. Zion Spartan going to be the next one. The double kill coming in for Meteos. They didn't even really have High in that fight till the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good combo there, but as we said, there's no defensive stats at all on Coast. And it's something about Cloud9, they don't retreat very often. They usually just turn around and kill you, and they did not hesitate right there. Good resets for Meteos, and this is going to be, I mean, I guess it's a one-man defense here. As we said, Ziggs is the best in the business for clearing waves.
They got him. Shifter could definitely hold his own at the turrets. It's going to be necessary for the amount of people that are going down per fight. Coast is losing 2 or 3 each time, and it gives Cloud9 an easy lane to push through. Grabbing turrets each time. Let's watch that engagement as well.
There's a stun into Ziggs Bomb, into Pantheon ult, but by the time Pantheon gets there, Daydreamin's already dead, just in the time for Grand Skyfall to come down, and nobody else has life, so Meteos hop number 1, kill. Hop number 2, kill.
Slice and dice him.
2 Maws. Meteos has upgraded his Hex Drinker already into a Maw as well.
All the Maws. Looks like they're going to be working for him as well. Zanyas is going to be next here for High, so he can create some of the plays for his team. Put that gold on gold in the game. See the Lizard Spirit being, or Lizard Elder being finished up here on top of Meteos. A lot of damage coming from his Kha'Zix. He's been playing it twice, as we said previously. Brought it out a little bit in IM. You know, he's been doing quite well with it.
Yeah, that's why I was so surprised in Champion Select. Not only did they give Meteos Kha'Zix, but High the Kassadin, where he's shown that he's fine with playing with it during the nerfs here, and he's very happy to take it again.
Yep.
They really got the assassins that they wanted, and they showed why.
He played it last week, even when it looked like it was pretty grim against Dignitas. High was on the Kassadin. They have big plays coming up in that fight.
That was the game where after Meteos was like, ooh, don't know how I feel about Kassadin.
Yeah.
But High was definitely still pretty happy with it, so it looks like they let him make the choice for his own lane here.
See what else is coming up in the inventories. Lemonation's favorite item to buy for the rest of the team. The Mikhail's Crucible is finished up for him, on top of his mobility boots to keep in the battle with the rest of the team as usual. And the Triforce Bloodthirster coming out for a little bit more damage from Sneaky. These guys are ready and raring to get into the next fight. Just a few more gold, as we said, for the Zanyas. It'll be ready to go.
Oh my goodness! Just look at the giant, juicy health bars here on Coast. I mean, Daydreamin, talking about support items, he's built all speed. He's invested so much money in speed, and he's only relying on a little bit of health from his Sightstone there to try and stay alive in fights versus Kassadin and Kha'Zix, where if they both jump on you at the same time, then you're already dead.
See if it helps him. The flash is coming up, so that speed right now helps more than ever if he wants to try to get a Tibbers on. But if he only waits a little bit more, it may be just what they need. Ball's in the bottom lane now. Where's High? With teleport, he's actually going to be in the mid lane, so they may have a chance to get a good fight here. But Cloud9 is so much more ahead in power that it's going to be a very tough fight.
Yeah. I mean, Cloud9 actually do have an option of going for a turret dive, but as we saw in the last game, you know, going versus double AP, Cloud9 built a lot more magic resist, not as much armor. Balls does not care, though.
Ooh.
So what kind of armor do I need? Just Ninja Tabi. Or find somebody's already dead by the time the camera gets down there.
Not much you can do about that. It's been a very tough game for Zion Spartan. I think both teams kind of outplayed themselves in the beginning of this game. Everybody was kind of organizing and figuring out what to do, and it happened to fall in favor of Cloud9 because once it went back to something that Cloud9 did, they were right back on track.
Yeah, so the thought process there from Coast, it was pretty interesting. They decided,
absolutely,
you know what, Ryze, if we send Ryze down to this dying turret, they're going to just dive him anyway, so we'll keep him up here for a little bit extra pushing power. But they weren't able to get the second turret in their push with 4 people up top. And Cloud9, they got the bottom turret. They also got the dragon, and they left the creep wave pushing against them so that Ryze had nowhere to go to farm after he recalled. So Zion, he was left just walking around the map for the first 6 minutes of the game. and he had to wait for the top lane to push all the way back in his favor, by which point, Balls has a 40 CS late.
Yeah, and Balls, he ducked out of that quick, too. There was no advantage they gained off killing him. He went straight to the jungle to farm.
Yeah.
Cloud9 definitely reacted to what Coast was doing immediately, and look at this. Level 14.
1 versus
he
4.
throws himself in.
Bring it.
1v4. We got Sivir coming up from the bottom
And they're
side,
all running.
and they cannot do anything to him. High from the backside. He comes in. The teleport was used to get in this position, and it looks like they are going to keep pursuit of this one. It's going to be Nintendo going down. Spike's just missing out onto his fusion. They don't get that chase, but it looks like Shifter's going to try to waddle his way to safety.
He's bouncing here. Once he runs into his own minion wave, though. Oh, no, Balls already uses his slice.
I don't know how much they're going to tunnel. They have a good push on mid lane, but they don't have their
Videos,
C clear.
I saw that! Fails his jump over the wall.
Just trying to do everything they can. They're really pulling apart Coast right now from the seams.
All right,
Shifter's still on the
run.
chase.
He's
I
got
want
this.
his shoes. What's he wearing? He is going for the long haul. Coast to coast on
Pause.
this one. It's going to be
Pause for the lap,
off
Shifter.
sides.
Oh,
Soon.
Gets out of the Grand Skyfall.
I wouldn't say out of, but he dodged it nice. Yeah. Yeah, he gets it.
Oh, Shifter, no!
No, he finds him in the base!
Balls never gives up.
Ever.
Oh, the tenacity.
No
on
reason.
The chase right there.
Oh, 11 Nation down to 100 HP. Very low. Daydreaming. Could be coming up to get a kill, but he would be just that, dreaming about it. Cloud9 so far ahead. He takes a bit of damage. A nice boomerang there. The ultimate thrown off by Meteos. 2 level 14s holding very strong against an 11 and
man.
a 10. Cloud9
Oh,
has completely
man.
taken control of this game. Whee!
All right, 2 inhibs down, 6 to 19. Gonna have to stall for about 50 more minutes.
Definitely going to be a hard one for Coast on this. No shifter plays coming from Ari here. It's everything that's been put at them on the front line. They see it coming from Cloud9, but they just cannot stop it with that amount of gold lead and the plays. Having these wards placed.
Put that ward there, man.
Exactly.
That's such an odd place to put a ward. All right, anyways, he gets into position here, and this is going to be the death of, what was it, Nintendo? Are we going to, if we watch the replay of that entire shifter run, that'd be cool, actually. Nope. All right. That'd be way too long.
On slow motion, please.
Oh, there's a giant wave bottom. Oh, man, this is even worse for Coast. They have absolutely no options right now.
Yeah.
Big wave bottom. Kassadin going to be down there. At least Kassadin's teleport is not up for them.
Cloud9 can easily play off the ball here. That being,
Oh,
as you
Dangerman
said,
goes
the
for
minion.
it.
What a black shield into the dodge out of the Timbers coming out from Daydream. And very good play from Sneaky as the rest of the team. That was pretty cool, bouncing Meteos off of the damage.
Yeah.
But it still comes in fully from high. They pick up a big ace. They pick up what should be the game.
That's going to be the game right there for Cloud9. Man, what a massacre.
Absolutely, one of the strongest games from Cloud9 this season. Not a lot of presence came from Kassadin until he started teleporting around. Obviously, that happens after 6, but it was 9 or 10. It took a little bit longer. Coast did have a bit of an edge there that Cloud9 was wondering about, and then once Cloud9 saw that the door was open, they kicked down the whole house.
As you said, the interesting part of that match was definitely the opener and the first few minutes of it. And then all the action was focused on bottom lane, but everybody knew it was going to be focused on bottom lane. So it was just who can get there the quickest and which team's duo can actually avoid damage long enough for the rest of their team to arrive. Sneaky and Elimination did a great job of getting out of the first couple of ganks there. And even though they went down a couple times, the team cleaned up for them and they let Kassadin get to the point that nobody wants to see.
You know, I feel like both teams had the same risk in their composition. This could have happened to Cloud9 as well if they had a bit of a teetering start to the game. When you don't get a great Kassadin start, you have to hope he crushes people in the late game. When you don't get a great start for other champions, that's just what happens. And it could have been Ryze being huge. It could have been Ziggs being huge. And it could have just been them with Banshee's Veils crushing the entire game.
So with the switch that Coach pulled, and they send their duo up top, and you know they had 4 people all up top. Mid is all alone by itself, and we actually even saw Cloud9 were the ones putting pressure mid. It wasn't Coast pressuring this Kassadin, trying to keep this Kassadin farmed or starved. It was Cloud9 with balls coming in for the gank at mid, and they got the first blood on Shifter. So yeah, definitely the early switch up there.
A lot of things we used to see teams do is actually do the 2v1 mid against Kassadin. Put that Caitlyn AD carry or someone in mid to try and stop him down. I wouldn't be seeing that lately.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to keep him down that much. In the current state of the game with the flash charges and everything, people have been saying that like it's just so hard. You don't even want to let them have Cassin because this one mistake is going to start him snowballing. And we did see a couple of those things for Coast where they got a little bit too close. And then Hai made great use of his teleport. Yeah, got to give him credit.
And to stay true to what they said coming into the interviews as well about this game, that they were going to shut down one of the solo lanes or both of the solo lanes. And really this one, they just focused on that Rise. Zion Spartan at 14 minutes in the game had 55 CS. He could not provide any help to the team. And he was supposed to be the guy that said, boom, room prison, you're not getting in the fight. Machine gun damage with his Q coming out. And he wasn't putting out anything. They actually could dive him whenever they wanted.
Yeah, just really brutal game for them. Every time he went in with Pantheon as well for Nintendo, as we said, it's an all-in champion. There were always answers from Cloud9. They were expecting it pretty much the whole game. As we saw, Midos even hung around down bottom. He would waste a couple, like even a minute, minute plus down there waiting for the counter gank.
Yeah.
And eventually it would pay off.
Same thing, Nintendo in the top lane, trying to wait for Zion to get dove when he was level 5. Finally got it once, but it wasn't enough to help to take the game. That's now 17-4 for Cloud9. They're one loss now above on Team Solo Mid. So there's place 1 and 2. Those guys are going to be holding the top of the record. And for anybody really to face Cloud9 or Team Solo Mid right now, I think Champion Select has to be the win for them, because if the laning phase isn't, then you're pretty much done for the game.
Yeah, I do like to see Coast trying these new things, though. You know,
That's true.
Pulling out the Rise, going with 4 men top, try and see different strategies, what will work out, because they are on the bottom and they need to find something to chip away at these top teams.
Absolutely. For more on Cloud9's big win, let's send it over to Freak and Jack.
Thank you very much, Riv. Now, leaping off the Rift and onto the analyst desk, we want to welcome Medios and Hai to the desk. Guys, congratulations on a very convincing win. What were your thoughts coming into the match?
Well, I like laning for Shifter personally. I think he's a very good laner, so I always enjoy playing against a good mid laner. But I was kind of casting, so that was kind of boring for me. But he did die first blood because balls kind of went really ham, so I guess it was more fun than I thought for that lane.
It was not quite first blood.
Who died? Oh yeah, Lemon died. Forgot about that.
Scumbag Lemon. So actually I want to press you on the level 1s and kind of the early game, because neither top laner went to the lane at all. They both jungled. In fact, Coast sent 4 guys to the top side of the map. Rise was like chilling by double golems up there. Like, how do you adapt to like really strange sort of level 1 situations?
Well, we had Renekton into Rise, which most teams against Rise try to 2v1 because he beats most melee champions 1v1 pretty hard. And they actually read that we were going to 2v1, and they bush camped, and we sort of tried taking the greedy route towards their blue instead of going all the way around. And so we paid for it because Lemon died. But then after that, I think they tried reading into it, thinking we would still try to force the 2v1 and send our duo lane top. But we just went to standard lanes, and then they really hurt themselves on that because they went top with their bottom lane trying to anticipate the 2v1. And so we got our bottom lane bottom and the 2v1. So we came out super ahead despite giving up first blood. And then we were able to just get a tower and dragon, and in response they only got 1 tower because we were able to save the second one. Renekton had a really nice roam mid while they had 4 people top. And when you have 4 people in one lane, you're really starving yourself on XP and gold. So we just sort of had a lot stronger early game. Dude, I think they tried, reading into it what we were going to do, and we didn't do that. So they got pretty behind from that. And from there, we had a huge advantage. We had better scaling champions, and we were just able to close the game out.
Yeah, and actually just off that huge advantage you guys were able to take from the early game, from the prediction and stuff, about 18 minutes in, there was a pretty explosive team fight. We have a clip of it right here. Just talk to me, because you guys knew you were so far ahead. What was your mindset coming up into this team fight?
Well, we wanted to fight. I was pushing mid, and they wanted to do something because they knew they were behind. So they kind of flashed with Annie's stun and just went on us with Pantheon ult. But they're so far behind that they did 0 damage to anyone. Balls is just massive charging at them. I start to flank now, and they basically forced a fight they couldn't win because it had to fight. So they kind of just lost pretty hard because they did 0 damage.
Yeah, 10,000 gold lead you guys had after that one. Medios, you played a bit of Kha'Zix over at IM Katowice as well. Is that, I mean, you probably can't give it away. Elise was banned against you. But talk to me about the strengths of that champion with your playstyle right now.
Well, Kha'Zix is a really strong champion right now, especially with the buffs to his ult in the most recent patch. He does a little bit less burst damage from his Q and E nerfs, but in return, he's sort of still an assassin, but he's a lot tankier than before. And he's just really good in all-out fights. He has high pressure early game, and he scales extremely well. And we're one of the teams that likes running, a good scaling jungler, so I can kind of carry from the jungle role. And he just sort of fits the criteria really well for that, and I enjoy playing him.
Yeah, and that, of course, seems to be one of the new things in 4.3. One thing I saw today, which interested me, is a lot of guys are buying Maw from Mortius. Is this because teams are running a lot more double AP, or do people realize this item is actually super good in a lot of places?
Well, Hex Drinker is a good item. It's one of the best items as far as gold per stats.
Yeah.
As far as Maw Mortius goes, it's a fine item, but I'm not really sure why Balls bought it, but he was versus triple AP. I don't know, a lot of AP, and I guess he wanted damage, so why not, It's a pretty good item versus AP casters because you get that shield at the end, and when you are low HP, you're doing more damage. So it's a fine item, but I don't know why he bought it, really.
I actually really like Maw. I've been a fan of it for a while, but I guess now it's just getting popular. When you're low health, it's basically the same damage as a Bloodthirster, which I don't think it's really noticed that much, how much AD it actually gives. So it's a really strong item, and it's sort of a Bloodthirster, but instead of the sustain, you just get magic resist and then a huge shield when you get low. So I think it's a very cost-efficient item. And, yeah, a lot of teams are running a lot more AP now, so it's just a great buy.
Great.
Yeah. I actually haven't talked to you guys since your trip over to Poland as well. After that day one, we're not going to talk about the semifinals right now, but after that day one when you guys took out WE and TPA, what were you guys feeling like, and did you expect to have so much success early on in that?
Well, I personally felt really good because for our first time against the Asian teams, we actually won, and we won pretty dominantly. Yeah. So on the bright side, we didn't have to deal with people saying we can't match up to at least the Chinese teams. So that felt good. And when you go 2-0, you're going to feel great, I guess. So I had a good time.
Medios, did anything catch you by surprise? What were the differences maybe playing against Team WE versus playing against the North American LCS?
It didn't feel too different. One thing that happened in both of those games is we got a really favorable jungle matchup. They were on Wukong. Actually, both Chinese teams picked Wukong, and he's just really weak early games. So both games I actually lost one of my first buffs, but I didn't get punished for it because they had Wukong, and he just can't really punish a jungler even if he's ahead. So just through that, we were able to... They sort of sacrificed lane pressure to get jungle pressure by stealing my buffs, but then they weren't able to do anything with it. So the lanes were ahead. I was able to come back into the game, and then we sort of just used our momentum to win the game. And it did feel really good to win.
Yeah.
Then, of course, the semifinals against Fnatic. Tell me about what kind of went wrong in those matches.
Well, it was kind of a repeat of Worlds of how the games and picks and bans went. Game 1, we lost barely. Game 2, we won barely. Then Game 3, we died at level 1 and kind of snowballed from there. And an issue with picks and bans for both Worlds and there happened again, which I don't really want to go into too many details about, but we kind of messed up our picks and bans really hard against them again. So it's just kind of, we did the exact same mistakes we did 3-4 months ago or whatever. So that's a very sad loss because of how we lost. So I did not like that game at all.
Yeah. And obviously, when you guys left for Katowice, you left the night after a Super Week. Then you played an international tournament. Then you had to fly back, and now you're back in the LCS. Still, the season continues. How are you dealing with fatigue maybe from that trip?
I've been feeling really tired ever since we went to Poland. Pretty much the entire trip, I was feeling super jet-lagged. And even today, I've been pretty tired. But it's not the end of the world. I think I'm not playing as great as I would if I was really well-rested. But it was a really fun trip, so I don't regret it at all. And I guess just as time goes on, we'll start feeling better.
Yeah, and it really kind of seems after watching some of the games today, TSM was dominant in their victory. You guys destroyed Coast. Your records are starting to kind of take off against the rest of the LCS. But how important will be getting first place in the standings as you move into the playoffs?
Well, I personally think it'll be pretty important. I believe CLG will get third. And when you're first place, I believe you play the winner of 4 and 5. Is that how the playoffs are going?
Yeah.
I'd rather play the 4 and 5 one than the third place team, obviously. So I want first, and just because we were first last season, I don't want them brag over having first on us. But even then, first at playoffs is way more important than first in the season. So as long as we're top 2, I'll be super happy because that voids relegation. Yep. And then I want first place in playoffs more than I want first place in this season.
And, of course, you're one game behind TSM right now. You play against EG tomorrow. And actually, your rematch against TSM, last one of the season, is going to be in Week 11. How you feeling about both your match tomorrow and your eventual rematch with TSM?
Well, our match tomorrow is probably going to be a little bit tricky. What sort of happens is they have a huge roster change due to the visa issues this week, and it's when you haven't really seen a team play with players, they can surprise you, and we don't really know what to expect, so it's hard to prepare for those games, and sometimes you get caught off guard. So we'll do our best to prepare, but there's not that much we can do for it, and hopefully we'll play as well as we can.
And are you looking forward to TSM yet at all, or is it 1 week at a time for you guys?
We haven't really thought about TSM too much.
Okay.
It's definitely 1 week at a time.
Yeah,
There's no
absolutely.
point looking 2 weeks ahead of you. What's that going to do? Nothing really.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So then, of course, we'll see you guys tomorrow, and good luck in the rest of the season. We're going to have more going on today, though. We've got a recall back to base, but we're just minutes away from our next match when we get to see the new lineup for Evil Geniuses versus Counter Logic Gaming. We'll be right back.
Really good.
Yeah, they're trying to go. They just flashed.
Yeah, I'm running down. I'm on the way. I'm on the way.
I'm going down.
I'm on the way. I'm on the way. I'm on the way.
I think we
I'm on
can
the way.
fight. Yo, let's fight.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm coming in. Hey, daydreaming. We should
No
be able to
flash,
get
no
him.
flash, no flash.
Okay, good job.
She has the ability to keep people in line. Oh no! It's Cloud9 making the first move. High teleports bottom. Oh, what another counter gank.
Wait, Ghost is choosing the other side. They do counter it very hard. They get into the brush to try and deny all vision, but that is big damage coming from High. He riffs on along with the kills from Sneaky. The Inferno Bomb comes down and takes down High, and Meteos is there to help clean it up with the Sneakster. They come out in a 3-2.